The moment I walked into that courtroom wearing my Navy SEAL uniform, my wife Linda's face went white as a sheet. She'd spent the last month telling everyone in town that my military medals were fake when she sold them online for $15,000. But when those Pentagon agents knocked on our door 3 days earlier, she realized she'd made the biggest mistake of her 52-year life. My name's Harold Gibson, I'm 56 years old, and I never thought I'd be standing in a county courthouse fighting my own wife over stolen valor. But here we were. It all started on a Tuesday afternoon when I came home from my electrical job at the VA hospital. I'd been rewiring the psychiatric wing, working with veterans who'd seen things that would break most people. Good men dealing with PTSD, trying to put their lives back together. Made me appreciate what I had at home, or what I thought I had. I walked into our living room and stopped dead. My display case was empty. 28 years of marriage, and Linda had cleaned out every medal I'd earned in 12 years as a Navy SEAL. My Purple Heart from Afghanistan, where an IED blast left me with shrapnel scars that still ached when it rained. My Bronze Star from Iraq, earned pulling wounded Marines from a burning convoy under enemy fire. Even my grandfather Earl's WW2 Silver Star that he'd left me when he passed 5 years back. The case sat there like a grave, empty velvet slots where my life's work used to be. Linda, where are my medals? She didn't even look up from her laptop, typing away at something on eBay. I sold them. We needed the money for Sarah's wedding, and those fake military things were just collecting dust anyway. Fake. That word hit me like a punch to the gut. I'd bled for those medals, lost good men earning them, watched better soldiers than me come home in flag-draped boxes while I lived to wear the ribbons they'd never get, and my own wife called them fake military junk. Linda, those weren't fake, you know that. She laughed, that bitter sound I'd been hearing more often lately. Come on, Harold. You were just an electrician in the Navy. Real heroes don't come home to wire houses for a living. Just an electrician. As if 12 years with SEAL Team 3 meant nothing because I chose honest work afterward. As if the men I'd served with, the operations we'd run, the lives we'd saved, were all just stories I'd made up to impress people. I stood there in my work boots, tool belt still around my waist, and felt something break inside me. Not anger exactly. More like the moment you realize you've been living with a stranger for 3 decades. The woman I'd trusted with my life, my secrets, my nightmares from overseas, had just reduced everything I'd sacrificed to pay for to garage sale junk. How much? I asked. $15,000. Sarah needs it for the reception venue. They want a deposit by Friday. Our daughter's wedding. Linda had been stressed about the costs for months, but I'd told her we'd figure it out. Military families always do. We live within our means, save where we can, make sacrifices. But this wasn't sacrifice. This was theft. Linda, that Purple Heart alone is worth more than $15,000 to collectors, and you can't legally sell it anyway. Military decorations belong to the service member who earned them. She rolled her eyes. Nobody's going to check, Harold. It's just metal and ribbons. Just metal and ribbons. I thought about Corporal Danny Martinez, 19 years old, who died in my arms in Helmand Province while I was earning that Purple Heart. I thought about Staff Sergeant Mike Torres, who'd never made it out of that burning vehicle in Fallujah. Their medals would go to their mothers, who'd cry every time they touched them. But mine were just metal and ribbons. I want the buyer's information, I said quietly. Why? So you can harass some poor collector? Linda slammed the laptop shut. Harold, grow up. We have bills to pay, a wedding to fund, a life to live. Your glory days are over. Glory days. 28 years I'd been married to this woman. She'd kissed me goodbye when I deployed, welcomed me home when I came back changed. She'd held me during the nightmares, helped me transition to civilian life, supported my decision to work with my hands instead of my guns. Or so I thought. Turned out she'd just been waiting for me to become somebody else. The next morning I called the Pentagon's Stolen Valor hotline before heading to work. Seemed like the right thing to do, even though I was reporting my own wife. The number was on a card I'd kept in my wallet, something the VA had given all of us during a briefing about metal fraud. Stolen Valor Investigation Unit, this is Special Agent Martinez. Sir, my name is Harold Gibson, retired Navy SEAL. My wife sold my military decorations on eBay without my permission. I'd like to report the theft. There was a pause. Mr. Gibson, can you provide your service number and unit information for verification? I rattled off the numbers I'd never forgotten, even after 26 years as a civilian. Some things stay with you. Thank you. Can you send us screenshots of the eBay listings and any communication with the buyers? When I asked Linda for her laptop that evening, she got defensive. What do you need it for? The Pentagon wants to see the listings. You called the Pentagon? Harold, what is wrong with you? They're just medals. But she handed over the laptop, and what I found made my blood run cold. She hadn't just sold my medals, she'd been selling military memorabilia for months. Other veterans' dog tags, unit patches, even what looked like a Marine's dress blue jacket. The woman I'd trusted was running a stolen valor empire. That evening, Agent Martinez called me back. His voice was grim. Mr. Gibson, we've verified your service record. Those medals are registered in our database and the buyer's already been flagged. We're opening a federal investigation. Someone will be in touch within 48 hours. Federal investigation. My wife had crossed a line she didn't even know existed. That night, Linda slept in the guest room. I lay in our bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about all the signs I'd missed, the credit card bills she'd started hiding, her sudden interest in military collectibles on eBay, the way she'd stopped asking about my work at the VA, stopped listening when other veterans shared their stories at barbecues. When had she stopped seeing me as a man who'd served his country and started seeing me as a man whose service could be monetized? The next afternoon, my son Carl called while I was installing new outlets in the VA's recreation room. Dad, what's this I hear about you harassing Mom over some old medals? Carl's 28, fresh out of law school, working at Morrison and Associates downtown. Smart kid, but he'd grown up comfortable, never had to earn anything the hard way. The closest he'd come to military life was visiting me at work. Did she tell you she sold my Purple Heart? Silence on the other end. Then, she said they weren't real. Carl, I've got the citation paperwork from the Pentagon, the medical records from Kandahar where I got hit by that IED. You want to see the scar where the shrapnel went in? It's right here on my chest, about 6 inches from my heart. More silence. Carl had seen that scar his whole life, asked about it when he was little. I'd told him it was from an accident overseas, never went into details. Kids don't need to know about war. Dad, she's family. Whatever's going on between you two, we handle it inside the family. That phrase hit me wrong. Inside the family. Like what Linda had done was a domestic dispute instead of a federal crime. Son, when someone sells a Purple Heart on eBay, it stops being family business. That's stolen valor and it's a felony. Come on, Dad. You really gonna send Mom to prison over this? I thought about that. 28 years of marriage, watching Linda build her real estate business from nothing, supporting her through her mother's cancer, holding her when she miscarried our second child. All those years when I thought we were building something together. I'm not sending her anywhere, Carl. I'm reporting a crime. What happens next is up to the federal government. After Carl hung up on me, I sat in my truck in the VA parking lot for a long time. Through the windows, I could see veterans in wheelchairs, some missing limbs, some with invisible wounds that cut deeper than any shrapnel. These men understood what those medals meant. They'd earned their own the hard way, or watch their buddies earn them posthumously. But my own family thought I was making a big deal over junk. 2 days later, I was replacing a circuit breaker at Mrs. Murphy's house when she mentioned seeing some official-looking cars at my place. Looked like government plates, Harold. Everything all right? Dorothy Murphy was 71, a retired VA nurse who'd known our family for decades. She'd patched up more veterans than she could count, understood what service meant. Just some business with the federal government, Mrs. Murphy. Nothing to worry about. She studied my face with those sharp eyes that had seen through plenty of soldiers' brave faces over the years. Harold, you know you can talk to me if you need to. I almost broke right there. Mrs. Murphy had more respect for my service in that one sentence than my wife had shown in months. I drove home to find Linda pacing the kitchen, her hands shaking. She'd been crying, mascara streaked down her cheeks. There were federal agents here, she said without looking at me. They want to talk to both of us tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. About what? I play it dumb, though we both knew. You know damn well about what. You called the Pentagon on your own wife. I called them about stolen military medals. The fact that my wife stole them is just what happened. Linda's voice got high and shrill the way it did when she was cornered. Harold, I am not a thief. I sold property that was in my own house. Military decorations aren't property, Linda. They're honors. They belong specifically to the person who earned them, and they can't be transferred or sold. It's federal law. Since when do you know about federal law? Since I spent 12 years swearing to uphold and defend the Constitution. Since I took an oath that meant something to me. She stared at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. Maybe the man she'd married had been too young, too eager to please, too willing to let things slide for the sake of peace. But that man had earned the right to wear those ribbons, and he wasn't going to let anyone take that away from him. "What did you tell the agents?" I asked. "I told them the truth, that you've been obsessed with those medals for years, that you barely make enough as an electrician to pay our bills, that our daughter needs money for her wedding." Obsessed. That's what she called honoring the sacrifice of better men than me. "And what did they tell you?" Linda's face crumpled. "They said what I did was a federal crime. They said I could go to prison for up to 6 months and pay a $100,000 fine. They said ignorance of the law isn't a defense." For the first time since this whole mess started, I felt sorry for her. Linda was a lot of things, but she wasn't stupid. She'd just made a mistake that could destroy everything we'd built together. "What do you want me to do, Linda?" "I want you to call them back and tell them it was all a misunderstanding. Tell them you gave me permission." I looked at my wife of 28 years, this woman who'd shared my bed and raised my children, and knew I couldn't do that. "I can't lie to federal agents, Linda, and I didn't give you permission." That night, I called my old team leader, Master Chief Rodriguez, who was now working private security in Virginia. Some conversations you can only have with someone who understands what those medals really cost. "Gibson, how the hell are you?" His voice brought back memories of missions I'd tried to forget. "Chief, I need some advice. My wife sold my decorations on eBay, and the Pentagon's opening an investigation." The line went quiet for a long time. Finally, "Jesus, Harold, how did it get that bad?" "I don't know, Chief. 28 years of marriage, and I never saw it coming." "What do you need?" "Just wanted to hear from someone who understands what we did over there. My own family thinks I'm making a big deal over junk." "Harold, you remember Torres, that Bronze Star you got pulling him and 3 other Marines out of that burning vehicle?" I remembered. Staff Sergeant Mike Torres, 2 kids back home, wife pregnant with their 3rd. The vehicle hit an IED, flipped, caught fire. By the time we got to them, Torres was unconscious, the other Marines trapped underneath. I'd gone in 3 times, dragging men out while ammunition cooked off around us. "His widow called me last month," Rodriguez continued. 20 years later, and she still has Mike's medals in a frame by his picture. Her kids look at those ribbons and know their father died a hero. That's what your wife sold, brother. That's what those medals mean. After we hung up, I sat in my garage with a beer, looking at the empty space where I used to clean my gear after coming home from deployments. Linda used to bring me coffee while I worked, ask about my day. When had she stopped caring about the man who'd worn the uniform and started seeing only the electrician who paid the bills? The Pentagon agents showed up at 9 a.m. sharp, just like they'd promised. Agent Martinez was younger than I expected, maybe 35, but he carried himself like military. His partner, Agent Rodriguez, introduced herself as the lead investigator. "Mrs. Gibson, you're under investigation for violations of the Stolen Valor Act. The medals you sold belong to a decorated Navy SEAL, and several are registered as non-transferable military honors." Linda sat at our kitchen table looking small and defensive. "I'm his wife. I can sell whatever's in my own house." "Ma'am, military decorations aren't community property under any state law. They belong specifically to the service member who earned them. What you did is a federal crime, regardless of your marital status." Agent Martinez opened a folder and spread out photographs. "These are the items you sold. 1 Purple Heart, 1 Bronze Star with Combat V device, 1 Silver Star, and various service ribbons. The total value in the collector's market is approximately $23,000. Linda's face went white. "I only got $15,000. "That's because you sold them below market value, probably to move them quickly. The buyer has already been contacted and agreed to return the items to avoid prosecution as a receiver of stolen federal property." That's when Linda broke down completely, talking about debt and pressure and wedding costs. She'd been gambling online, she admitted, losing money she couldn't afford to lose. The medals weren't her first desperate attempt to cover her losses. "I was behind on the mortgage," she sobbed. "The second mortgage on Earl's ranch. Harold doesn't know." My grandfather's ranch. Earl had left me 180 acres outside town when he died 5 years back, but I'd let Linda handle the paperwork since she was better with legal documents. Apparently, she'd been better at forging them too. "Mrs. Gibson," Agent Rodriguez said quietly, "we're going to need to see all financial documents related to that property. If you've committed mortgage fraud in addition to stolen valor, this becomes a much more serious federal case." After the agents left, Linda and I sat in our kitchen like strangers. 28 years of marriage, and I didn't know the woman across from me. "How much do you owe?" I asked. 43,000, maybe more than my annual salary. "How long has this been going on?" 2 years, maybe 3. Linda couldn't meet my eyes. "It started small, just a few dollars here and there on poker sites. Then I had a big win, thought I could quit ahead, but I kept playing, and the losses got bigger." "The ranch mortgage?" 60,000 against the property. I forged your signature on the application. "My grandfather's land, worked by his hands for 50 years, used as collateral for my wife's gambling debts. Earl had survived Normandy, built that ranch from nothing, left it to me because he trusted me to preserve what he'd built." "Linda, you've destroyed everything." "I was trying to save us," she whispered. "The wedding costs, the bills, your medical insurance from the VA isn't enough anymore. So you stole my metals and mortgaged my inheritance." I was desperate. I looked at the woman I'd loved for almost 3 decades and realized I didn't know her at all. The Linda I'd married wouldn't have gambled away our security. The Linda I'd married would have talked to me before making decisions that affected both our lives, but maybe that Linda had never existed. Maybe I'd been so grateful that someone loved me despite the nightmares and the scars that I'd ignored who she really was. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now we get lawyers. Good ones." The preliminary hearing was set for the following Thursday. Linda hired Morrison and Associates, the firm where Carl worked, though he'd recused himself from the case. I decided to represent myself. Some fights you have to handle on your own, and this was about more than legal strategy. This was about honor. That Tuesday evening, I pressed my old Navy dress uniform in our bedroom. The blue wool still fit, though it was snug around the middle. I'd worn it to Earl's funeral and figured I might never wear it again. But sitting there with the brass buttons gleaming under the bedroom light, running my fingers over the ribbon rack spaces where my decorations used to be, I knew it was time. The uniform represented 12 years of my life, deployments to places most Americans couldn't find on a map, operations that would never make the evening news. It represented the man I'd been before I became Harold the electrician who came home tired every night. Linda found me in the closet, adjusting the collar. "You're not seriously going to wear that thing to court. This uniform represents who I am. Seems appropriate." "Harold, you're embarrassing yourself, and me. Can't you just let this go? Take the plea deal, say it was a misunderstanding?" I looked at my wife of 28 years, this woman I'd loved through deployments and homecomings, through Earl's death and our daughter's graduation, and I didn't recognize her anymore. "I let a lot of things go over the years, Linda. I let you handle the finances when you said I was too trusting. I let you make decisions about the ranch when you said you understood legal documents better. I let you tell people I was just an electrician when they asked about my military service, but I won't let anyone say my medals were fake. Harold, please, think about our family. I have been thinking about our family, about the family I thought we were." Thursday morning came gray and cold, typical October weather for Indiana. I drove to the courthouse alone, Linda having left earlier with her lawyer, some expensive guy from Indianapolis who specialized in white-collar crime. The Gallatin County Courthouse was one of those old stone buildings that makes you think about justice and permanence, things that matter. I parked my truck between a sheriff's cruiser and a legal aid van, checking myself in the rearview mirror one last time. The uniform made me remember who I used to be. Not Harold the electrician who fixed other people's problems. Harold the SEAL who'd earned the right to wear these ribbons, earned the respect that came with them. Inside, the courthouse smelled like old wood and floor wax. Linda was already there with her lawyer sitting at the defendant's table. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Carl sat in the gallery behind me, and I was grateful for that. Whatever happened between his mother and me, he was still my son. A few minutes before 10 a.m., Mrs. Murphy slipped into the back row. She'd driven 20 minutes from her house to be there, probably the first time she'd been in a courtroom since her husband's probate hearing years back. When she nodded at me, I felt a little less alone. When Judge Raymond Kowalski entered, everyone stood. He was older than I expected, maybe late 60s, with the straight posture of someone who'd spent time in uniform himself. When he saw me, he paused. "Is the plaintiff representing himself today?" "Yes, Your Honor. Harold Gibson, representing myself in the matter of stolen military decorations." "Retired Navy?" "Yes, sir. Navy SEAL, 12 years active duty." Something changed in Judge Kowalski's expression, a recognition that went beyond professional courtesy. "Please be seated. Bailiff, call the case." Case number 2024-CR-1847, People v. Linda Marie Gibson, charges of stolen valor under federal statute and mortgage fraud under state law. Linda's lawyer stood up first, giving a prepared speech about misunderstandings between married couples and how the federal government was overreaching into domestic disputes. He painted Linda as a confused wife who'd made an innocent mistake, not understanding the significance of what she'd sold. When my turn came, I stood and laid out the facts without emotion. The metals, their significance, the eBay sale, the forged mortgage documents. I kept my voice steady, military bearing. "Your Honor, this isn't about money or marriage problems. It's about honor. These medals represent the sacrifice of better men than me who didn't come home. My wife sold them like garage sale junk to cover gambling debts, then lied about it for weeks." I placed copies of my service record on the judge's desk, along with the medical documentation from my Purple Heart injury. I was wounded earning that Purple Heart in Kandahar Province, Afghanistan, in 2006. The Bronze Star came from pulling wounded Marines from a burning vehicle in Fallujah, Iraq, in 2005. My grandfather's Silver Star was earned at Normandy in 1944. Judge Kowalski studied the documents, then looked up at me. "Mr. Gibson, may I ask what specific unit you served with?" "SEAL Team 3, Your Honor. 2 deployments, Afghanistan, 1 Iraq. Were you involved in Operation Neptune's Revenge, Helmand Province, September 2006? My heart nearly stopped. That operation was classified, or had been. The details were still sensitive, even 20 years later. "Yes, sir. My son Danny was one of the Marines your team pulled out of that convoy ambush. Purple Heart recipient lost his leg but came home alive because of you and your teammates." The courtroom went dead silent. Linda's face had gone white again. Even her expensive lawyer looked uncomfortable. "Your Honor," I started to say. "No need, Mr. Gibson. I remember reading the after-action reports when they were declassified 5 years ago. 14 Marines rescued under sustained enemy fire. You and your team earned those decorations with blood." He turned to Linda, his voice hardening. "Mrs. Gibson, you sold your husband's Bronze Star with Combat Vi device for $3,200 on eBay. Do you understand what that decoration represents?" Linda's voice was barely a whisper. I didn't know. You didn't know that your husband of 28 years was a decorated combat veteran who risked his life to save other Americans?" "I knew he was in the Navy," she said weakly, "but he never talked about it." "Ma'am, the best warriors rarely do." That's when Carl stood up from the gallery. "Your Honor, I need to withdraw as observer and request permission to address the court." "Are you an attorney, young man?" "Yes, sir. Carl Gibson, Morrison and Associates, and I am the defendant's son." Carl's voice was steady, professional. "I've discovered additional evidence of fraud involving my grandfather's property that I believe relates to this case." Judge Kowalski looked surprised but allowed it. Carl walked forward and presented a folder to the court. "Your Honor, my mother took out a $60,000 second mortgage against inherited property using forged signatures. She's also been operating an illegal military memorabilia business on eBay, selling items that appear to belong to other veterans." Every piece of paper was another nail in Linda's coffin. Bank statements, eBay transaction records, copies of items that clearly belonged to other service members. My wife hadn't just stolen from me. She'd been running a stolen valor empire for months. When Carl finished, Judge Kowalski leaned back in his chair. "Mrs. Gibson, this court finds probable cause for federal charges of stolen valor, mortgage fraud, and conspiracy to traffic in stolen military property. However, given that the original medals have been recovered and your husband doesn't wish to pursue maximum penalties, I'm prepared to consider a plea arrangement." Linda's lawyer whispered urgently in her ear. Then she stood up, tears streaming down her face. Your Honor, I've been gambling online for 2 years. The debts got bigger than I could handle. I was desperate, but I knew the medals meant something to Harold. I convinced myself they were just things, just metal that could solve our problems. I was wrong. Mrs. Gibson, these things represent your husband's service to his country and his fellow Marines. They're symbols of honor that men died earning. They're not community property to be liquidated when you need cash. Judge Kowalski's voice softened slightly. However, the court recognizes that gambling addiction is a serious illness. Mr. Gibson, what would you like to see happen here? I stood up, looking at my wife of 28 years. Despite everything she'd done, she was still the mother of my children, still the woman who'd held me through nightmares when I first came home from deployment. Your Honor, I'd like the court to consider rehabilitation instead of prison time. My wife needs help with her gambling addiction, not a federal conviction that would destroy what's left of our family. Judge Kowalski studied me for a long moment. Mr. Gibson, you're a better man than most. The court accepts a plea agreement. Mrs. Gibson will enter a court-supervised gambling addiction treatment program, make full restitution for the fraudulent mortgage, perform 300 hours of community service at the local VA hospital, and surrender all military items in her possession to federal authorities. After court, Linda and I sat on a bench outside the courthouse while reporters took pictures and asked questions we didn't answer. 28 years of marriage, and we were like strangers. I'm sorry, Harold, she said finally. I forgot who you were, who we were. I think we both did. What happens now? I looked at the flag flying over the courthouse, snapping in the October wind. Now we figure out how to be honest with each other, if that's even possible. It took 6 months, but Linda finished her treatment program. The gambling addiction counseling helped her understand why she'd risked everything we'd built for the illusion of easy money. She works part-time now at the VA hospital, helping other veterans navigate their benefits paperwork. Funny how that worked out. The medals are back in their display case, and I've added Earl's silver star beside them. Carl helped me sort out the ranch paperwork, and we're turning part of it into a retreat center for veterans dealing with PTSD and gambling addiction. Seemed like the right way to honor what those medals really represent. Sometimes Linda and I talk about getting back together. Other times we talk about divorce. Mostly we're just learning to be friends again, if that makes sense. Trust, once broken, doesn't heal easy. But we're both trying, going to counseling, being honest about things we never talked about before. The Pentagon investigation led to a larger federal case against military memorabilia fraud rings. Linda's information helped them track down dozens of stolen medals and prosecute dealers who'd been exploiting veterans and collectors for years. Sometimes honor has to be defended in unexpected ways. Carl visits the ranch every Sunday now, helping with the renovation work. He understands better what service means, what those medals cost. Mrs. Murphy comes by too, sharing stories about the veterans she'd nursed over the years, keeping Earl's memory alive. Last month, Judge Kowalski's son Danny visited during one of our veterans group meetings. He's doing well, married now with kids of his own, working as a counselor for other wounded warriors. When he thanked me for pulling him out of that convoy 20 years ago, I told him the truth. I was just doing my job, same as any SEAL would have done. But driving home that night, I understood something I'd lost somewhere along the way. Those medals aren't just metal and ribbons. They're promises we made to each other, to the men who didn't come home, to the idea that honor matters more than comfort. I'll tell you this. When I put on that uniform in court, I remembered who I was beneath the electrician's coveralls and the husband's compromises. I'm Harold Gibson, Navy SEAL, and that's worth fighting for. Sometimes the most important battles aren't fought overseas against foreign enemies, but right here at home against the people who forget what honor means. And sometimes, if you're lucky, you can win those battles without destroying everything else you love.